us. My name is Michelle Cisneros. I'm the Go Board president for the Rose Hill campus, and this is our first Go Virtual. So I'll start off by introducing Arturo. Arturo Ortega is a Mexican anthropologist, singer-songwriter, permaculture, coffee grower, and roaster. He's the founder and director of Enlaces Comunitarios Internacionales, also known as Community Links International, which is our Go Mexico community partner. He's also the founder and director of El Centro Comunitarios de Desarrollo Sustentables, or the Community Center for Sustainable Development in Tecuanipan, Puebla. And he's also the founder of Ignea Café and Orígenes Sustentables coffee plantation in Veracruz, Mexico. He has worked in service learning for 35 years with more than 50 American academic institutions, leading groups through the Americas, Bolivia, Peru, El Salvador, Mexico, and the US. Before I hand it over to Arturo, I'll just give a brief overview of how this call is going to be organized. The first portion will be dedicated to Arturo explaining his work and the community link status on COVID and anything relevant to his community that would be helpful for the Fordham community to know. The second portion, that'll take about 20 minutes. And then the second portion will be focused around sustainability, what Arturo is doing in terms of sustainability and what we can do here from New York. That'll also take about 20 minutes. And then the last 20 minutes will be dedicated to a Q&A portion. So yeah, with all of that being said, I can hand it over to Arturo now.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to me and honor to be part of this virtual experience. I've had experience with working for Fordham for probably 20 years. So this also feels natural. I feel like at home. You know, especially with Michelle, who had the pleasure to be partnered with her in her delegation in Mexico. So it's a true pleasure to be here, part of this new format and new realities, but I think it's also exciting for me to be part of it. And so this first part, Vanessa is gonna help me show, we're gonna have a few of our websites that is gonna be a resource that later, if you wanna come back to it, you can see some of the things that we've been doing. And a lot of what, everything that you actually see that has been developed in the ground is been along with partnering with Fordham through all these years. So from building the ecological center, from even taking coffee from here to New York City. Last year, for example, Paul Francis used one of our lots of red honey sustainable coffee for the Go Gala. So again, we have different ways of partnering with Fordham. And so if Vanessa be so kind to help me with some of the images and maybe a short video from our website.
Did that work? Can you all see my screen? So this is the Community Links website.
So, and you know, as I said, Fordham has been in every step of the process. From there was nothing, it was just a barren piece of dirt, really, and co-created with us together, and the whole center now. Of course, now is blooming, and we'll get to that after the short video. And again, this is a result of our years of partnering together in ground.
Mm-hmm.
First day, and it's gone terrific. It's a lot of fun working with all the people here from the farm as well as from other universities. I've never traveled before, but I think this is a great place to start. Like I've enjoyed the culture immensely, and especially what this farm is doing to be so sustainable. I find it really aspirational, and I'm trying to connect ways that I can like bring it back to New York and be like, look, these people are doing great stuff in Mexico. Like we should follow them. So it's been great. I'm really excited.
Here you can see some of the works, projects. We did this in Morelos with coffee growers and elders, basically, and we helped them to renovate their coffee plantations. And that was one of the time. Fordham students and 2 occasions came to the harvest time, and that was in January. And that was the team that we came to do the harvest. This is one technique of we're creating everything with from the local resources. You build with what you have. We had dirt and we built with dirt.
It's really exciting. Like we've been waiting all semester to come here. And I'm learning a lot about economic sustainability here, which is really exciting because like living in New York is definitely not something that we're constantly interacting with, like trying to be as economically sustainable as possible, but it's really important. And I'm really loving learning how to like little things to do to like make a life that's like more sustainable and more like careful about the environment.
Bueno, mi nombre es Demetrio Barrita, soy artista plástico y mi colaboración en esto es trabajar con todos los que participan en este espacio, colaborando con algunos talleres de arte, escultura, pintura, gráfica, y la idea es vincular el arte con la naturaleza, con la ecología, con la permacultura. Creo que ha sido un éxito bastante bueno esta última etapa del proyecto, donde hemos podido consolidar un trabajo de conciencia ecológica, conciencia comunitaria, conciencia de cuidado del medio ambiente a través del aporte del arte. Creo que para eso ha servido.
It's great to be here. We're all here for different reasons, but I think we're all doing a good job and we're having a good time. Some of us want to practice Spanish. Some of us want to immerse ourselves in the culture. But it's a good way to meet people. It's a good way to get to know the world a bit better. We're having a great time. We're really lucky to be here.
Gracias por compartir tus opiniones y tu familia con nosotros.
Y la gente no aguanta más. Es más color. Escucha mi hermano, oye bien. No desconfies y no habrá temor. Hay que cantar una nueva canción.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Of course.
All right, so through the video, we see a glimpse of maybe just 1 year in which we had several delegations, and you can see the interaction already is to bring people from different cultures together. And that was the very purpose of our partner. Luckily for my own life experience, when I was 18, pretty much when you're a freshman in college, I was actually a freshman in college in Mexico City. I was majoring in aeronautics. I wanted to become designing airplanes and whatnot. And because I had an experience with American delegations coming to my working class neighborhood outside Mexico City, Los Reyes La Paz, and funny enough, there's not surprises, or I believe there's sometimes a bigger connection. A priest from Marino, who's in New York City, in Ossining, New York, was our pastor in our church. Don Hessler Kuhn and Robert E. Lee. They were in retiring age and decided to be in Mexico in a working class neighborhood working with the poor. And also this was the year of 1985, and it was the year of the earthquake. And the earthquake that shattered and killed thousands of people. Some people say 10,000, some people say more. And in all of that convulsion, I was searching for answers and connections, you know, being a young man from outside Mexico City, already in college. I missed my first days of college because there's the earthquake. And a week later, it came to my campus, it was shut down. There was no classes because, you know, basically it never reopened. And also because of that day, people from our neighborhood and the church put together a brigade. And that brigade went to feed people. We worked with the rubble, digging out bodies. And I worked for 3 days in the hospital, cooking and cleaning and, you know, getting people help, you know, and that really affected me to do exactly what I do, which is try to bring solidarity, awareness, and kindness to each other. And so that was pretty much my own context. And then I started working with gangs around Mexico City, trying to promote culture, understanding, bringing alternatives. I found out that these young people, men and women, have no choices for life, for work, for education, and therefore the gang was their family. It was their way to protect themselves against the hostilities of the surrounding society. And I became kind of a voice for them, and then we started to create festivals and culture and activities. And to this day, I'm friends with some of them gang members then, and some of them died and, you know, were killed and died. But some of them became successful business people and even mathematics teachers. Some of them, like Abel Reyes, is still my friend to this day. And that led me again to organization and cooperatives and workshops, trying to find ways of making people a better living by working collectively, creating goods, and all sorts of projects, cultural. And then there was another Maryknoll missionary, Mary Lou Doran from Boston, Massachusetts originally, who started to bring delegations. You know, they published in a Maryknoll magazine advertising short-term mission trips to Mexico, and she will organize them and bring it by train and bus. She will gather them in Phoenix, Arizona, bring them to Mexico City, and then I became, naturally, without really nobody, I became part of that, bridging the realities of our communities with those who are seeking for be part in solidarity with us. And that in general, that's became the core of who I am today. And the center, as you know, you could see in the video, brings, I think, the best of both our societies, our need for solidarity, to be kind to each other, to show that we can work together towards something. So this center is the result of that interaction of the US and Mexico with the values of solidarity, environment, and understanding, and love, basically. And so to this day, funny enough, you know, when the COVID crisis started, I came there and moved permanently. I closed down my apartment. So I've been living here now for 6 months. And I said, oh, I never thought I was going to actually live here. And this is what it was built for. In time of crisis, we could live here. And I've been living off the land and working with Renato. And the community is not coming, of course, and the groups are not coming. But we were enjoying the results of everybody's work. And of course, we're the caretakers. So, and now it's even better than when I came there. And it's only been, you know, some of my family and Renato's family working there. And of course, you know, phenomenal global challenge that COVID is. But we talked about those issues with each of our delegations. Probably Michelle can recall when we talk about the crisis to come. And yet here it is right in the middle. And some people say it's just the beginning of crisis that we're going to be living. And therefore the challenge, or how well prepared are we to challenge these spaces of being at home for months, for seeing dear ones die, for, you know, lack of opportunity, lack of access to education, lack of access to basic human rights. And that's, as you can see, a phenomenal challenge. And especially you being in New York City, you know, how hard you were hit by this crisis. It posed phenomenal challenges, but it also, Father Donald Hale said, where there's pain, where pain abounds, grace abounds. So I think this is opportunity for solidarity and bring in the best of us. And it has, you know, we've seen it, you know, with many people being in solidarity. And well, we used to travel the world to realize and discover those realities. And those realities are probably within our own home, you know, just my neighbor's eating or not, and my neighbor having access to the basic needs. And I've seen great responses throughout the globe of people being in solidarity with each other's neighbors, you know, shouting through the balcony, you know, trying to talk from the distance. So this is just amplifying everything that we already knew, but we get to see it in our lifetime. And right now we are challenged by that in a more evident, direct way than before. And it's already was there, but now it's here and probably is here to stay. And COVID is one example of the many new challenges once we as society break the barriers of nature, because we have trespassed nature. We have trespassed with polluting, contaminating, the word consumerism, the way we treat each other. This is the result. And therefore, what are the challenges that we have? What are responsibilities as communities, as universities, to face this? And I can wait to hear from you in the Q&A, but I also will have my own questions to you. It's not, I don't consider myself expert in COVID or in this because we are living it. So in a way, you know, I got as much experience on COVID as anybody in this chat room right now. And this is, I think I wanted to give you the context. And so enlaces, again, these links, and this is a great opportunity to not forget that we're connected. And I really, that's what I love about Fordham, but also Go, is that this is very mission, the core is to meet the other. And by meeting the other, we find ourselves. Physically, we can't right now, but thanks to technology like this, we can still interact. And therefore, what could be the new ways and avenues of collaboration? That would be part also a little after on the presentation. I believe we're still we're good on time right now, time frame? Okay, Vanessa, is there anything you want to direct now? Or Michelle, at this point on the conversation?
Would it be helpful if I shared my screen and showed the coffee link that you had asked, Arturo?
Yes, yes. One of the things though that hasn't, you know, even though we stopped receiving delegations, the one thing we haven't stopped to this day is growing things sustainable. Fernando, Andres, and my team will continue to work and taking care of the forest. What you see on the screen here is our website for Ignea Coffee. And Ignea means rock, you know, the Ignea, the origin before in the planet, before there was soil and plants and life, there was nothing but rock. Out of the rock and the interaction with the environment, with water, and later on bacteria and microorganisms, and this soil broke, and the rock broke down and tear down to soil. And that soil was then getting ready to host life by having minerals, of course, but minerals are lifeless. And then you little by little, little organisms were recreating and then creating and dying. That was creating organic matter. And then there was another type of microorganisms that started to consume the organic matter, and that created microorganisms. So the sum of these three make the perfect soil. So we put Ignea at the beginning of our story of taking care of the cloud forest. So our motto is we take care of the forest, and in return, it gives us coffee as a gift, and many other things, water, oxygen, etc. So we in Ignea, we are dedicated to take care of the forest, the cloud forest in this case, in Veracruz, and has this plantation is between 1,300 meters till about 1,400 meters. And that's a perfect ideal soil for coffee. when I came and started working with these plots, they were pretty much abandoned, and the coffee plantations were sick, were dying from rust leaf, amongst other things. And also, most of the people were now in an age that can no longer climb the mountain and work there because it's very hard and intensive. And the young people who were supposed to be working were no longer there. They were in the United States or in Mexico City, migrating, looking for a better job. So it came to me, this young man, Fernando Hernandez Galicia, who is now the director of the plantation in Veracruz. He was deported from the United States, and he could not go back after living there for 16 years. And there, he knew no life because he went there when he was 13 years old. And he came back almost at 30 and didn't know, and Mexico had no opportunity for him. So what he had was, he invested some of his money in a house, in a pickup truck, and a little coffee plantation. So he basically came to me and asked me if I was willing to buy the coffee plantation. I accepted only because I saw him in need. And then because I always dreamed of having my own plot of land to grow my coffees because I love coffee. But besides loving coffee, the interaction with nature and what's created with ecological green, shade-grown coffees. But I asked him, I will buy it only if you work with me in the plantation. And he agreed. So to this day, it's been 4 years since he's been working full-time at the plantation, taking care of it. And we turned it from a pretty much abandoned, it's a nice area because you will have waterfalls, and the place is called Vista Hermosa, beautiful view. Literally, you will see some of the pictures. It's a beautiful view of the valley and waterfalls, and again, I stepped in the middle of it, and I thought I didn't have enough money to buy all of this. Mm-hmm. I'm the caretaker of this with Fernando, so that's my responsibility to increase biomass, biodiversity, taking care of water and soil, but then at the end, I received coffee as a gift. So for me, coffee has become a gift that I can share with other people. And by these people getting it and give me another gift, I can go back and enhance the cycle. We started with a small plot of a half a hectare. And now because the people, they were elders and they were pretty much abandoned. They, again, asked me to buy them, and I did. So now we manage about 7 hectares, which is about maybe 30, 40 acres. And now we work with permaculturalists designing the key line design to increase the retention of soil, stopping erosion, and also giving temporary jobs and some permanent jobs to people like Fernando, that he no longer had to leave his 5-year-old son to go to work in the U.S. He sees him every day. Christian, he's this little boy. And Andres, also, who used to migrate temporarily, he's been working permanently at the farm. And still, we haven't reached the point of equilibrium in which I can give them more, but also they're, right now we pay a lot more what they get paid there. And also they get training on quality processes, on seed to cup, specialty coffees. This year, as a result of all that, we received our first recognition at the Expo Cafe at the World Trade Center, Mexico, on the biggest coffee event of Latin America. Our coffee, Natural Mosaico from Vista Hermosa, was given a medal of quality. And at the Expo on October 22nd to 24th in Mexico City, our coffee is going to be showcased as a high quality coffee with all the sustainable aspects behind it. And then you can browse through our page, our values of nature, and all of this is from our plantation. Also, I can tell you that when I received these abandoned, semi-abandoned, semi-sick or very sick plantations, we have planted over 6,000 trees. We create our compost and we recycle everything that is waste product. It's no longer waste, of course, it's a resource, from the coffee, from the pulp, from the husk, from the honeys, and even after brewing it and the coffee grounds that are being used, they go back and we compost them in Tecuanipan or in Veracruz, and it goes back to the ground. It goes back to the forest. And also I have diversified plantations by growing avocados, macadamia nuts, we also are growing bamboo, and this bamboo is especially for construction, that in 7 years will give us bamboo for constructing. And we use that in our center in Tecuanipan. This bamboo also gives us a wind barrier. It contributes with organic matter. The teas can be used for tea and the shoots can be used for food. So you see, we're increasing the resilience of the ecosystem there, as well as the resilience of our little community. By me also, this year I started to work with small farmers, about 20 families, which I purchased direct price their coffee to be roasted for us, but with the effort of training them for quality, therefore to access a better market and better price. So through the coffee, the Ignia now, our hope is that we can grow it and now to the States. And there's been a number of people, mainly the people who have been to the project, who love our coffee. By being here, they've taken them with them, are really asking us to bring it over. And hopefully by the end of October, we'll have our first shipment of coffee in Houston to be distributed to many friends and hopefully schools. And that may be one of the projects that we can develop together to maintain the educational aspect to learning how this coffee is produced, the different steps. And of course, I'm always willing to talk about the different aspects of each step of the coffee from seed to cup. And also, well, another kind of an alternative event because of coffee and sustainability. I was invited about a month ago to a local hacienda that is devoted to sustainability, health, natural health, and caring of the environment. And then I was introduced to a group and a traveling show called Chef Latinos. Chef Latinos are based in Los Angeles and San Diego, and then travel around the Americas, discovering people, culture, and food. And well, now I am featured in the first 2 episodes with my music and the coffee. And also I was part, very soon after that, I was invited by Chef Rosie O'Connor, who has been appointed the best chef of the South of California with Cali Mex Food. And she's also been awarded by President Obama for her commitment and culture. And I traveled with her to Mexico, arranging the first 10 episodes of It's Not All Tacos and Burritos. And it will be featured next year in one of the streaming channels there. So, and now they asked me, now the producer was calling me yesterday, and they asked me to be part of a short film at the Hacienda about the Day of the Dead. And they want me to contribute my music and my coffee and give an advice because of my background in anthropology and Mexican culture. So from, having all this time at the beautiful farm in order to me to reconnect and understand even better why we put it together, and asking me, how am I going to be able now to bring people in connected to the center? And maybe this is the first thing that I'm doing, and probably this is it. This is how we should be continue, and very eager to continue new ways. Now with the chefs and the coffee, it seems it's becoming a tool, and hopefully that I can continue to develop to support the families and support our staff so we can continue with our mission. Because I never really started a business because I wanted to make $1 million. I started it because it was a way to continue my passion and demonstrate you can work with quality and the environment and social responsibility as a new way of creating realities and to avoid things like that. Or I can see myself being around nature, that we're protected by trees and all the chia plants and all the beautiful trees that we planted with the help of Fordham, like you could saw at the beginning of the video. Now they're blooming. It's really beautiful, and that's a barrier. And that's a reminder for me that it's a lot easier to create a better, more just world than the opposite. And my friend was asking me, Pablo, why people don't do this? I go, well, don't ask me. To me, this is a lot easier to create this than destroying it. To create, it's a lot easier to create love and acceptance than hatred and division. So since I have a very hard time to do that, I'm just gonna focus on keep creating and sharing the beautiful things that happen when you bring people together and work for the common good. So I don't know how we're doing with time, or is there any specific line in which I should direct this?
You know, I think we're great on time. What if we spend maybe the next 10-ish minutes talking about ways that we could pay homage to your organization here or wherever we are? For some folks
Yeah.
might not be back in New York, so maybe ways that we can implement some of your sustainability practices wherever we are.
Definitely keep using these tools. You know, maybe every so often arrange meetings, not only with me. I'm just a very tiny part of the whole process. Maybe we can arrange it with you know, some of our young people and see their experiences, what has happened in their lives. I've seen them very little for obvious reasons. And Tecuanipan is a very small community, about 7,000 people. And in the very first 3 months, there was no cases, luckily, but then eventually some people started to die. Not very many. And sorry, somebody was trying to call me and I told them not to call me. Anyway, so, and then now, you know, we just checked in. Luckily, all the families are part of the program. None of them has been affected by the COVID, but, you know, adjusting to the new normal. Puebla was moved. We have a light system for new normal, which is red is really stay at home all the time. Orange only go out for special necessities, work if you have to work, wearing always a mask, and then it's yellow. Yellow still restrictions, you know, no massive events, no more than 10 people. Some businesses are reopened now, and then green will be okay. We can go back to schools and, you know, with limitations, but Puebla has still kind of always been into going back to red or orange, and it's a big challenge. Cholula also hasn't been a major focus of the pandemic, but Puebla City and then San Andres Cholula, which is the city over us, they've been hit hard by that. So again, the phenomenal changes that have created, you know, the lack of access to opportunities, to education, food, water, work, and, you know, luckily none of Mexican hospitals have been overcrowded, but again, the lack of equipment for the personnel. So again, you know, this is basically the same story probably you faced in New York City, not at the same magnitude, of course. Mexico is still in the top 5 countries in the world with the prevalence of the pandemic. And again, you know, the new reality is whether after October we're gonna have another spread. I mean, and another peak. You know, we're kind of all waiting and eager for the vaccine, but why should we be eager to go back to what's not working already? So again, going back to what you said, I think is what together, I would like to hear from you in the Q&A. What do you think we can do? I mean, of course, I live in a certain way now by choice and design. I have to say, I am safe to the most part, and I'm set to live off the land and water, and I can help others through my coffee and whatnot. But what are the challenges in our daily lives in urban settings? Because unfortunately, everything globally is set in a particular way that already had a lot of problems. The distribution of health, the wealth, the access to basic human needs, water, education, sanitation, etc., were already a problem in many areas of the world. Within New York City, you know, with the people opportunity, you know, affordable housing, for example, the access to food. Now it's even worse. This pandemic has nothing but amplified those realities. And what are the type of responses that we're going to bring to the table? And not only to it, but also ourselves also, you know, the way we live our daily lives, the way we shop, the way we interact with each other, you know, not being able to go and jog, not to being able to go to the movie theater, all those challenges. What is the type of response that we're going to bring, and how we're going to transform ourselves? And I'm not eager to go back to the old normal, because again, it wasn't working. To me, that was part of the problem. That's why we created the center, to make awareness that wasn't working. And that, yes, there could be other ways of creating a new realities. Luckily, I was able to do it with, many generations of Fordham students amongst other schools. And so we are also trying to, with True Coffee, use it as a tool. And of course, it could be a good tool for us to continue with you, developing areas, opportunity, create funding, but also create awareness as an educational tool, environmental tool, cultural tool, social tool. So the coffee also can help us, into that. The other one, we're trying to create a campaign for education. And also, how can you help us to maintain, a school as a second language? With Zoom, maybe is a great tool. We can, but the access of computers and internet is very limited in the areas where we are. And so therefore, we would like to create a program to go back with the families and help them to, not to give them food every week, but for them to create their own gardens. We already started that process this year. We actually, I believe with Fordham this year, we went into houses and started to create areas where they can grow food. Of course, we stopped, we have no funding, and we don't have really much funds until as of September 30th, we're pretty much out of resources. Luckily, hopefully I can generate somewhat with the coffee. But again, if business is closed again, well, I don't know exactly how. But then, maybe what campaigns we can create, and we'll be not just, I never accepted money because I said, I'd rather have somebody to come here. Invest that money in yourself, come in here and change yourself. And then go and do something else with that. Now, well, through Zoom and other things we can see. And of course, once we can receive groups, we would love to have you. And in the meantime, we need to create an alternative experience. And I believe we can together create the best way with Go Virtual. And, beyond just looking at each other on the screen, but I'll go back and with my team and do the things that I can bring to the table. And also you have a lot to offer from your end, New York City, creating awareness, creating opportunities, and help us, to develop ideas for funding to basically continue our work and impact the life of our communities that are suffering.
Thanks so much, Arturo. Well, if we're following with the time schedule, then maybe we can move into the Q&A portion. So if anyone has questions, feel free to just unmute yourself. I feel like we're a small enough group to do that and ask the question. And if you can't, you can type it in the chat and I can read it out loud.
All right, Roxanne.
Arturo, thank you so much for all the great information. I wanted to ask if you had advice for anyone who is thinking about making shifts in their life to be more sustainable. Like, what are some small things people can start off with so that they can live a more sustainable life? And from the simplest thing to perhaps more complex things.
All right. Yeah, definitely. First, and always the first, when our groups host here, how much water do we use? How do we use it? How do we preserve it? How do we waste it? You can look at yourself, how you use on a daily basis water, more than ever we're at home. We're indoors a lot. How do we use resources in general? Water being one of them. How do we use food? And when we buy food, what's our source for our food? What kind of a packaging are we buying and purchase and put in the trash can? Are we put it in the trash can, or are we going to put in a kind of some composting bin? Are we doing what are we doing with water, the amount of water and how we're using it? And how can we impact that use? You can measure yourself, the shower, the water, when you do dishes, everything, your laundry. So that one indicator. Second is our food. Again, we're more than ever eating at home, right? Or maybe we're takeout or ordering food, I know you're busy with studying and stuff, so not always time for cooking. And then what kind of a services, what kind of a food are we using? What kind of a packaging are we buying? What kind of trash are we paying to the industrial system? That it needs to be a lot of processing, a lot of money to be processed and wasted and not reused. So again, how much natural foods are we eating? Maybe we can buy organic. Are there local supplies for your food? Are there families making food to go that is better maybe than the big companies that offers a deal, 2 for 1, buy one. Why not invest in a family local restaurant? So again, one is the local connections to our local resources of food and services in general. And I think sometimes buying local is more important than buying organic. Because what is the value of buying whole foods, organic foods that have been shipped from across the United States to New York City, when you can buy from your local farmer's market? I'm sure, especially in the US, you have a lot of resources and creativity. And, why not connect to the local source of food, to the local sources of many things that you may need? How many clothes do you buy? I mean, one probably impact is you don't need to buy as many clothes because you don't go out as much, you don't go to classrooms as much. So already you would put in money keep into your bank account, or not getting in debt to your parents or yourselves for future loans. And just in general, how much we reuse the things that we have. And when we are done with a product, what is the cycle life of that? So pick up anything around you and ask yourself a question. Why did I get that thing? And then what was the source of that? What was the packaging, when I buy something from Amazon? And then, and all the footprint, the carbon footprint that comes from anytime I go online and order something. Nowadays, it's very convenient, and a lot of people more and more are buying online. Do we buy from Amazon? Is Amazon really taking good care of the workers? We can continue with our social awareness from home by clicking into the right campaigns, by the right laws. I mean, again, you are the generation that we live by the phone. I mean, I'm talking to my phone right now. That was 20 years ago. I had a big bulk computer, a desktop, and then a laptop was weighing like 10 pounds or something, and then decreased now. And then who needs a PC anymore? You need a little iPad or a phone, or a little tablet thing. I want to say brands. And again, what is the life of the products that we use, our computers? Why do I have to buy always on the new model? Do I need a new phone every 6 months? Do I need a new phone every 3 months? Let's ask those questions, which are very simple, but yet have a global impact because of the chain that produced that item that we receive in our home from the online shopping.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask Arturo? If not, I have one. So,
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I was wondering, given like your years of experiences with working with different academic institutions and students in general, how do you see community links and your partnerships with those institutions as different from your typical like mission trip?
Well, this is the very first experience, and thank you for actually creating it. So this is it. I don't know anything else. I mean, I know people even this summer tried to buy tickets and couldn't come. So for me, it was very obvious that it's not going to happen for a while. And again, when is, I don't know, a year, 2 years, I don't know that. So therefore, these tools that we have now, we need to set aside time and maybe in a basis that is viable for everybody. I don't know, once a month, or I don't know, something like that. Or with your peers, do it, and maybe levels of the circles of participation. Let's start with inter-campus chats, and then with the office of go virtual, and then maybe with our partners like Enlaces Comunitarios is one of them. And how do we create and maintain that line and flux of communication and collaboration through a very concrete project? And for me, one that comes is education that we can carry on with you here, and we can facilitate the process maybe by bringing people or some students a certain time with the care that we need into our center, which has internet now. And then maybe through coffee, help us educate, but also with that, we can generate funding for our projects, or to co-create a campaign in which you invest your time, which is your service, for with a local partner. You trust us, and we present results that we'll together accomplish. It wouldn't be Enlaces. It would be Go and Enlaces and the community together, as always, as if we were together physically. So with that, since that is not an option for a moment, and maybe for, I don't know, several months, a year maybe, then, and as I said, unfortunately, I don't think this is the end. It's just one of the many crises that we're going to be facing. Therefore, the obstacle of physically being present is going to be for a while, you know, and well, that's not going to change. So then that doesn't mean then we give up and we just lock ourselves into our homes. No, I mean, let's be creative. And thank you, Michelle, Vanessa, Roxanne, for creating this. To me until now, okay, so this is it. This is the new beginning. And then therefore we need to dialogue. I don't want to create a monologue in which, you know, a so-called expert is going to know, because I don't know. I have a hint because I work every day and this is my life, but then how do we connect and continue to create these relationships that brings us, you know, resilience and solidarity and co-creating together something. The most important thing for me at the center wasn't that we received money from hosting groups. That was not the most important thing. That was a medium to get resources to continue with that. The most important thing for me was the co-creating part with you all. And that sometimes was carried on beyond your time at Fordham. And because to this day, you know, last year we had 3 Fordham groups. And, you know, the last one was alumni. And I remember one of actually a friend of an alum was able to join the Fordham group. And she said, thank you for letting us work with our hands, you know? So I think we definitely need to keep dialoguing to create this experience with tangible results in ground and also at school. Is everybody still?
Yeah, thank you, Arturo. Thanks for answering my question. I think we have time for 1 or 2 more questions if anyone has one.
I have a question. First, thank you for your really excellent presentation. So my question is, like, do you personally think that cities and like nature can coincide together? Because I know that there's been a push over the last few years for like biophilic urbanism, which is kind of the idea that humans are naturally attached to nature and thus like cities have to like incorporate that. So do you like think that's a possibility? And if so, like how can cities like become more sustainable through like laws and regulations?
I have to say, in a personal level, I was born and raised in the Mexico City, which I never liked, but that's my own personal view. But I believe cities are a great opportunity for humanity to be together and co-create and coexist. The problem is not being crowded in a small place. The problem is not resembling nature with their own buildings. Who said we cannot grow food in a rooftop? Who said we cannot have a green wall? Who said, you know, we cannot recycle, we can compost at home? Who said we can use a more efficient toilet system? Who said we cannot recycle water from our apartment complex? We said we cannot collect rain from our buildings. So you see, it's not really the city that is a problem. It's a model in which created those cities. Now it's time to look back and make our cities greener. Make our cities resemble nature and not being divorced from nature. And that's the problem. When we step away from nature thinking, oh, we don't need nature, and make nature just a source of raw material for us to do something and pollute and overexploit. No, because we cannot live on an infinite need for things and consumerism with a finite planet and resources. I think that's kind of how I see it.
Thank you.
We only have one planet.
We have time for 1 more question if someone has a question they would like to ask. If not, then Arturo, if you want to say like a final statement or anything, you can go ahead.
And I still believe, I started this process when I was 18 years old. And I saw a lot of hope in myself and the young people around me. As I kept working year after year for over 35 years, I always see the people around me the same age. And it was only me getting older. And today is the same thing, but I see a lot of hope and possibility working with young people. So, you know, for me, I stay young through working with you all. So I have a lot of hope in you. And I know a lot of you can do greater things of what I'm trying to do now. And, you know, Michelle, I know you're still passionate about the trip. And I really, that's to me, it's an indication that I'm in the correct line of work, at least that is meaningful and deep for me. And that you and Vanessa and Roxanne are in the same line of work because of that, the passion that drives you to change. Of course, we need to change ourselves first, and then, you know, our friends with us. And always an invitation for change. I don't want to sound harsh and put anybody in a guilt trip because it's not about that. And it's about reality's hard and we need to look at it. But then solutions could be fun, right, Michelle? Like shoveling that manure or planting a tree that I was bearing fruit. You know, I was eating for the first time apples after 4 years. I was eating peaches. I'm eating now red fruits every single day. And this because of the collective work. We're eating corn and we have chia and we have amaranth. We have avocados for the first time. So I see a lot of hope in you. And I hope my experience now is a tool for you, that you can count on people like me to pass it on to you. And because it's you, they're gonna make even bigger changes than we're trying to do. But I am where I am because of the collective work of young women and men drive to change, to make a change. And, you know, as with Roxanne, it could be as little as the use of water right now in your apartment. When the use of lights, electricity, how many lights you have around you, you need 10 light bulbs or one. You know, just start thinking of that. And when you start thinking about your own responsibilities and and then you will know what to do. And then you need to be consistent with that.
Great. Thank you so much, Arturo. So I think that's it in terms of our first Go Virtual. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us.